If you want some FIFA 23 coins, please check out MMOXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're fast, cheap and reliable, and if you use code Rema, you can get yourself a 5% discount. So what's going on, guys? My name's Ash and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. In today's video, guys, we've got some 4-2-3-1 custom tactics. Now the 4-2-3-1 is the formation that I primarily use in FIFA 23. You know, it is my favorite formation for when I'm just playing some FIFA because it suits my style the best. The reason I stated that this formation is my favorite is because I sometimes get asked, you know, which formation do you actually use the most, because you do post a lot of custom tactics and that. So if you guys were wondering, this is my personal favorite in the game. But I'm not here to blabber on, so let's get right into the custom tactics. For defensive style, I like to have it on balance because I like to press when I want to press and drop off when I want to drop off. I don't really like using pressure tactics. I like being able to manually defend, so this works very nicely for me. For width, I like to have this on 42 because after the patch, people do go down the wings a little bit more with the buff to explosive and control players, so you do need to be a bit more aware of that. Upping the width a little bit does help, you know, to counter that a little bit more. Now for depth, I've actually lowered this down to 57 after the update because again, there's been a buff to explosive and control players, which means your lengthy players aren't as effective at defending these through balls and players running in on goal. So I just lower this to 57. Again, if you want to up it, you can. If you want to lower it even more, go for it. For build-up play, I like to have this on fast build-up. Now, I don't usually like fast build-up on most formations, but the way I've set up this 4-2-3-1, which I'll show you in the instructions, this works very nicely because I do like to play a nice free-flowing style of football, so having fast build-up actually, you know, works really nicely for me. So I suggest you guys give it a try, but again, if you don't like it, just change it to balanced and you should have a better time. Now for chance creation, guys, I suggest, as always, to use direct passing because it's becoming a bit of a ritual at this point. But if you look at the diagram in the bottom right hand corner of the screen and you look at the white dots, direct passing is the only one which makes these players move in a dynamic motion. It's the only one which actually makes these attackers try and get into space to create chances. If we look at balanced, you'll see you don't get that proper movement. It's very static. Possession, they move around, just not in the right areas. Forward runs, they do move forward, but it leaves you exposed and it doesn't always help you as much as you'd think it would. So direct passing for me is the best. Now for attacking width, I like to have this on 37 because again, this is a narrow formation, and with the style I use the 4-2-3-1 in, this actually works very nicely because it keeps your players nice and close together, so it helps you make these short intricate passes and quicker plays. So I do really enjoy having a lower width when attacking, but you do also have like a manual width when you do want to attack down the wings, so like you can trigger a run with your wide player down the wings. But yeah, I like having this on 37 because I do like to play quite narrowly. Now for players in box, I used to have this on 7, but I've lowered it down to 6 because again, counter attacks are pretty wild after the pace update, so I've just lowered it by 1 so there's less of a chance that I get counter attacked, and we still have a good amount of players in the box. Now corners and free kicks are again down to personal preference. Some people like to have this all the way on 5, which I don't suggest, by the way. I like to just have it on 2 because I like to cross the ball and have somebody to cross to, but I also like having players back so I don't get counter attacks. But again, completely down to personal preference. Now for the players you want to use, guys, in the striker position, lengthy isn't that important anymore. You can use controlled and explosive. I just use Ronaldo as a control player with a hunter and he still works absolutely fine. The most important thing in this position is the work rates. You need them to have a good attacking work rate, so for example a high-low, so that they are able to make the best attacking runs. They obviously also need to have good shooting, and I suggest them having good dribbling and maybe like 4 to 5 star skills so you can get yourself into better situations. Now for your wide cams, I suggest players that are very good on the ball. So I have Leao and Chiesa. It's important that you have these players that are able to take on defenders, players that are quick, players that can pass, players that can shoot, you know, very good attacking players. So Chiesa, Leao are mine. Examples of players you can use are like Anthony, Wilfried Zaha, you know, players that are very good on the ball. It's important you have that in this formation. For your central cam, I like having a player with a high work rate because it keeps them in more natural positions, and it does really help with your transition in this formation. So I use Diogo Jota. He's not the best player, but he has the 5-star weak foot. He's a high work rate, which means he has better movement, and again, the 5-star weak foot in this position is very effective. Now for your 2 CDMs, one of them should be a more defensive player. So for example, I have Patrick Vieira. They should also have a good defensive work rate, or if they don't have a good defensive work rate, they need to have the stats to make up for it. So for example, Patrick Vieira is a medium, and what would be ideal is a medium high, but because Vieira's stats are that high, you don't really notice much of a difference with it. So it's very important that this player has good defensive stats because they're more of a stay back player. Your other CDM needs to be more of a box to box player. So I have Renato Sanchez. He's very good on the ball, very good at defending, good at shooting, he's quick, he's good at passing, and he's pretty strong and aggressive, and he has good stamina. You know, you need a player that can do it all in that role because again, it will really help with the transitioning. The high work rate is extremely important. Now for your 2 fullbacks, this one is down to preference. Some people like using more defensive fullbacks, but even before the patch, I liked using more offensive fullbacks. So I use Theo Hernandez and Hakimi because they have good pace, good dribbling, good passing, and good shooting, which is very helpful for me because I actually like to utilize my fullbacks, which I will show you obviously with my player instructions. But again, don't feel like you have to use these players. You can use people like Walker, and that is absolutely fine. Now for your 2 centre backs, I still suggest using quick, lengthy players. So I'm just using Varane and Kimpembe at the moment because I still think lengthy is the best on defenders. So I don't think you need to worry about that too much. Just make sure they have very good pace, guys. Now for my player instructions, on my striker I just have stay central and get in behind. The reason I have stay central is because I just don't want him drifting off into the wings. I always want him to be in that central position so he can get into the best shooting positions. Getting behind doesn't always mean you have to play the ball in behind. It just gives your player better movements. I don't know why, it just seems to be a thing. Now I did used to have him on stay forward, but I started to not like this because I noticed he was very far away from the rest of the team and it didn't feel too good. It didn't feel very natural, so I just have him on basic now. For your central cam, have him on stay forward. This is because it really helps with the transitioning in this formation. Sometimes if you have them on basic or come back on defense, they get a little bit lost and they don't really stay in the correct positions. But if you have them on stay forward, they stay in a more natural position for a cam. But also if you have like the high work rate, you'll still notice they don't just get completely disconnected from the play. So even though you have them on stay forward, they still like transition correctly when you are defending. So that's why I said the high is important. Now for your 2 wide cams, just have them on get into the box for cross, because this doesn't mean you have to cross the ball, it just means they get into the box, you know, they get more involved. And this is important because when you're attacking, you don't want these players to be completely ghosting on the wings. You want them to get involved, you want them to make those runs, you want them to give you extra options. So having them on get into the box for cross gives you the best options when you are attacking, so I definitely suggest using that. Now for your more defensive CDM, I suggest having them on stay back while attacking and cover center. This is because you don't really need them to contribute to the attack because you've got a lot of other players that will do that. It's important to have that extra defensive solidarity. Having them on cover center means they don't drift off to the wings, which is important because a lot of people still like to play through the middle, so it's important that they are covering this area to break up the play. A lot of people have it on cut passing lanes, but I don't really like it in this game. You know, I don't just want them to cut passing lanes, I want them to do a bit of everything. Now for your more box to box CDM, just have them on cover center, not even stay back while attacking, because again, you want them to contribute to the attack, you want them to contribute to the defense, you want them to do a bit of everything. The only setting you really need is cover center so they don't drift off to the wings when they are defending, so there is not a massive gap through the middle. So the only setting I suggest for your more attacking CDM is cover center. Now for my left back, I just have him on balanced attack. A lot of people have him on overlap, but I don't just want him to overlap. Sometimes they make really good runs just by having them on mixed. Like sometimes they'll underlap your players and other times they will overlap the players. So I like just having it on mixed because it gives you a bit more variety, a bit more fluidity when you are attacking. The reason I have him on balanced attack is because I like to have the extra width. Because we are playing quite a narrow style, having a fullback that can attack gives you that extra width when you are attacking. So the formation is extremely narrow, but you also have width, so it gives you a lot of options when going forward. Now for my right back, I just have him on stay back while attacking, and it's not because I want to be extra defensive with this player, it's just so I always have at least 4 players back. So in my case, we have Hakimi, Kimpembe, Varane and Vieira. We always have like 4 people back, and if I do want to trigger him forward, I can just use L1 to trigger a run, or I can use the D-pad settings to make both of my fullbacks balanced attack. But I think it's important you have at least 1 fullback on stay back, because otherwise it's just far too easy for somebody to play the ball in behind down the wings. So yeah, 1 fullback, probably like your left back or whoever has the best attacking stats to be on balanced, and the other one to be on stay back while attacking. But yeah, they are my custom tactics that I use in FIFA 23. Let me know what you guys think of them. If you have enjoyed the video, I'd very much appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.